Hi guys, sorry if that seemed jumpy. I went over the 10-minute limit for the video and it stopped recording halfway through because of the free recording software that I'm using. So sorry if this seems a little choppy. So after you make the UI behavior script, what we're going to do is we're going to need to actually write the code for making it so the button moves the panel on screen and off screen. So after we make it, what we're able to do is we can double click on UI behavior, and that will take us into whatever editing software you use. I've already double clicked it, so it's already being displayed in Visual Studio for me, and we can get rid of this, all of these words. And so when we're displaying the panel from clicking on the button, what we need to be able to reference are the phone panel, because we need to actually reference the transform of that object. So remember, I was talking about the position in space. And the camera, because we're going to be moving it within the reference frame of the camera. So we need to make sure that we're displaying it where the camera is. And we're going to need to create a variable to tell the code if the panel is being displayed on screen or off screen. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a public game object. All objects that we have that in Unity are game objects. You're able to reference the specific components of a game object, like the transform, like I was saying before. But for us, we want to be able to reference the game object because we're not sure if we're going to need any of the other components later, and I don't want to be able to be referencing each component by itself. So we're going to make a game object named phone panel. We're going to make a reference to the camera because we need to know where the camera is. And we're also going to declare a bool named phoneVis, short for phone visibility, to tell us if, and we're going to set this equal to false initially, because we don't want it to being the phone to being displayed right away. And false meaning the phone is off screen, and true meaning it's on screen. So this will keep track of that. Also something, if we save here in the inspector, if we go back to UI main canvas after it updates, it should display all of the objects and all of the parameters, of the component UI behavior. So like I did before with the camera, we can take the panel and drag it into phone panel. We can take the camera and drag it into camera. Now checking and unchecking this box will make it so that the panel is set to on screen or off screen initially, but we don't want that. So what we're going to do is we're going to set it to private, because we don't want that being messed with. We want it to start initially off screen. And what this will do after we save is make it so that it doesn't appear in the inspector, so that we can't alter that unless we do it within code. So the next thing that we need to do now that we have our variables is that we need to create a public void we're going to do phone. Sorry. We're going to do move phone, because we're just moving the phone on screen and off screen. And we're going to need an if statement, meaning that if the condition within these parentheses is true, do this. So that means if phonevis equals, we need that within a if statement if we want to say something is equal to to another object, or just as a statement in general. If the phone visibility is false, meaning that if it is true that the phone is off screen, then what we want to do is we want to reference the phone panel transform dot position equals, so what we're doing is of the phone panel, we're referencing the transform component and the position of the transform component, so the position of the phone panel in 3D space, and we want to set that to a new vector, and a vector 2 because we're working within 2D space. Now you can think of this just meaning the new x and y that we're going to have. So the new x that we want the panel to have is, since we want it within the camera, we'll use the camera's position dot, transform dot position dot x, and then I'm going to go ahead and copy this. Sorry that I seemed rushed, but I want to be able to finish this within 10 minutes since it cut off the first time, and the y. And so this will move it to the camera's x position and y position on screen. And I'm going to do +5 because from previous testing that's going to be the better position on our camera screen. Now after we do this, we need to make sure that we set the phone visibility equals to true, because now the phone's being displayed and the code needs to know that. After this, we need to create an else statement, because if the phone visibility is not equal to false, meaning this does not happen, then we'll do this. So if, then, otherwise, or else, we'll do this, meaning that if the phone's on screen, we need to move it off screen. So I'm going to copy all of this code and put it here, and then I'm going to do -10 because we want to move it off screen instead of having it on screen, and I'm going to set this equal to false if I can spell. Just do that. Okay, so this is all the code we need to do this. So if I go back and I go ahead and I go to main canvas, everything's selected, I go to the button, and now what we need to do, we'll minimize that, yours should look like this, is that on click we need it to call a method. So click plus, and we select the object that has the code that we need, which is UI main canvas. We need to select the function, which is the behavior that we wrote, and then we want to move phone. Now whenever the button's clicked, it'll move the phone on screen and off screen. So if we try this, on screen, off screen, on screen, off screen. So for you, this should appear to not be making the player hazed. And that's because it's being rendered under the player. And what we want is it to be rendered on top of the player. So we'll click Unplay, and we'll go to UI main canvas. And within each canvas, this should be set to default for you guys, is that within Unity, you can control the places or the layers that things are rendered. So what we want to do is we want to go into the sorting layer, click Add Sorting Layer. I've already done this, but if you click plus, and you were to do GG something, this is the layer, and then now the layers that are displayed on top of other layers, meaning in front of, are going to be on the bottom, so it's not like intuitive the way it works. So I've made a player, a UI, and Sky just to show that you can. So if you go to UI main canvas and change this to UI, and if I go to player and I switch this to the player, it'll display the way that I had it, and it'll display on top of that. Now since we have we don't have much time left, so I think that'll be it. So what you guys can try doing is going ahead and going within the panel and maybe creating a image. Actually, I'll just go ahead and do it real quick. Made an image, and then maybe dragging a you can just drag any sort of image into the source image for this, and it'll display inside of the panel, kind of like a phone. So later I'll show you, I can show you right now actually, I have a little bit of time. So if I go ahead and click on the transform, click Alt, and then this bottom right, it'll stretch it, so that way your image will appear correct within the panel. So that's it for now. I hope you guys have a good session at EPX and a good weekend, and I will see you guys next week.